Just need this one. Trust me. The left
Forget I
hook.
only need one too.
Okay.
Forget that too.
That's fine. All right, then we both got it. We both got it.
Like,
The ongoing tension between Gervonta "Tank" Davis and Floyd "Money" Mayweather has now reached an explosive boiling point. What was once a simmering conflict, fueled by years of subtle jabs and resentment, erupted into chaos during a recent press conference, leaving fans stunned and sparking a firestorm on the internet. In a shocking turn of events, Tank completely lost his cool and lunged at Mayweather, causing pandemonium on stage. Security rushed in, but not before the damage was done. Any hope of these two maintaining a professional relationship leading up to their highly anticipated fight was completely shattered in that moment. This wasn't a random outburst. It was the culmination of years of bottled-up frustration finally spilling over. To understand why the press conference spiraled out of control, we have to take a look at the roots of Tank and Floyd's relationship. At one point, Floyd was Tank's biggest supporter. He saw immense potential in the Baltimore-born fighter and helped shape him into the star he is today. Tank recalls when he was a young kid, and Floyd signed his phone, telling him that he would one day become a world champion and that Mayweather would be his promoter. Years later, Floyd kept his word and supported Tank through his early career, getting him into the right positions to succeed. Floyd had Tank in mind when he spoke about how Tank was once a kid who couldn't even afford a bus ticket, but through his support, had transformed into a world champion. But as Tank's success grew, so did his desire for independence. The first hint of a rift between the two came around the time of Tank's fight with Pedraza. Floyd didn't want Tank to stay in Baltimore, fearing that it would distract him from his career. Floyd wanted Tank to move to Las Vegas, offering him a penthouse apartment and a new Jeep to make the transition easier. However, Tank reportedly sold the furniture, sold the Jeep, and went back to Baltimore, buying a new car, a Benz, instead. This marked the beginning of Tank's desire to step out of Floyd's shadow and build his own brand. He no longer wanted to be seen as Mayweather's protege, he wanted to be his own man. From that point on, Floyd and Tank's relationship became strained. Floyd, never one to relinquish control, continued to make decisions for Tank's career and undermine him publicly. Floyd himself acknowledged that he didn't mind if Tank was upset with him, saying that he had done everything out of goodwill and that Tank was entitled to feel however he wanted. But the mentor-student dynamic had become toxic, and before long the two began to trade insults, taking passive-aggressive shots at each other on social media. However, the press conference was a breaking point. It wasn't just about a few sarcastic comments or public spats anymore. It had evolved into something much more intense and personal. The friction between Tank and Floyd escalated during the build-up to Tank's next fight. Floyd had been openly critical of Tank's recent choices in opponents, particularly the fight with Lamont Roach. Critics had argued that Roach, while a world champion, didn't have the star power to match the hype of Tank's farewell year in boxing. Floyd wasn't convinced it was a big enough fight and didn't hesitate to voice his concerns, adding fuel to the fire. Fans and analysts criticized Tank for not picking more high-profile opponents as part of his retirement tour, arguing that he could be fighting bigger names such as SHOCKS Stevenson or Ryan Garcia instead of lesser-known fighters like Roach. In response to the backlash, Tank canceled the fight with Roach and pursued a bout with Keshawn Davis, further infuriating Floyd, who had been critical of Tank's plans. It was more than just disagreement. It was clear that Floyd was actively trying to undermine Tank's career decisions. Tank felt that Floyd's actions were deliberate attempts to sabotage his path to independence and derail his legacy. This behavior was not new. Tank had also accused Floyd of trying to manipulate his team behind the scenes, even advising other fighters like Frank Martin on how to beat Tank. These actions showed Floyd's deep-seated desire to maintain control over Tank's career, even when it meant pulling strings that would ultimately harm Tank's potential. Floyd's attempts to sabotage Tank didn't stop there. Tank's decision to fire his longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, furthered the tension. In a move that shocked many, Floyd swooped in and offered to take Ford under his wing. This only added more fuel to the fire, creating a feeling that Floyd was interfering with Tank's career even more than before. Tank had had enough of Floyd's mind games, and the press conference became the perfect storm. Floyd began taking jabs at Tank's work ethic, decision-making, and career trajectory, pushing Tank to the breaking point. That's when it happened. Tank, unable to keep his composure any longer, lunged straight at Floyd. Security intervened, but the chaos was already set in motion. The crowd erupted, and the tensions that had been building for years were now out in the open. For Floyd, this might have been part of his plan all along. Known for his psychological warfare, Floyd had made a career out of getting inside his opponents' heads, using mind games and manipulation to throw them off their game. From the trash talk during face-offs to planting seeds of doubt in his opponents' minds, Floyd's tactics were legendary. But with Tank, it was different. This wasn't just about hype or mind games, this was deeply personal. Floyd had been pulling strings behind the scenes for years, and Tank was finally done being controlled. Tank's outburst at the press conference was not just a reaction to Floyd's public criticism, it was the culmination of years of frustration. Tank no longer wanted to be seen as just another fighter under Floyd's banner. He wanted to be his own boss, control his own career, and make decisions that were in his best interest. The relationship had become toxic, and Tank realized that the only way forward was to break free from Floyd's shadow. Tank's comments about retiring from boxing in 2025 further amplified the stakes of the fight. After dominating the lightweight and super lightweight divisions, Tank has made it clear that he plans to retire on top. But in order to do that, his final fights have to be legendary. His matchup with Lamont Roach was already underwhelming, and when Tank canceled the fight to pursue a bout with Keyshawn Davis, it made it clear that Tank wasn't interested in anything less than the biggest challenges. Floyd, of course, didn't think the same way. He's openly critical of Tank's decision to fight Keyshawn Davis instead of focusing on bigger opponents like SHOCKS Stevenson or Devin Haney. But for Tank, this isn't just about taking the biggest names for the sake of it. It's about ending his career on his own terms. Tank is tired of the way Floyd has tried to control him and is ready to prove that he can succeed without the constant interference from his former mentor. The fight with Floyd isn't just about proving who is the better fighter, it's about Tank asserting his independence, showing that he can make his own decisions and succeed without Floyd's influence. One of the most telling moments in this saga is Tank's own admission that he's ready to step into the role of being his own boss. He no longer needs Floyd to define his career. This was solidified when he stated that he had to be the one to control his own career, no longer needing to rely on anyone else's decisions. Tank is growing into his own, and he recognizes that it's time for him to take full responsibility for his own path, even if it means going up against the person who helped make him a star. As Tank gears up for his upcoming fight, there's a sense of urgency and defiance in his attitude. He's not just fighting for a paycheck or to keep his legacy intact. He's fighting for control over his own destiny. The idea of proving himself against Floyd Mayweather, the man who helped build him, is the ultimate challenge. Tank has made it clear that his retirement isn't just about walking away from the sport, it's about walking away on his own terms, having proven that he didn't need Floyd's shadow to succeed. He's going to take his career in a direction that he feels is best for him, and whether he wins or loses against Floyd, it's a victory in itself. The press conference altercation was the tipping point, but the real fight will take place inside the ring. For Floyd, this is his chance to remind the world why he is considered the greatest of all time, maintaining his undefeated legacy while showing Tank just how much he still has left in the tank. For Tank, it's his chance to prove that he doesn't need Floyd's guidance to succeed. He can make his own name on his own terms. Regardless of the outcome, this fight between Tank and Floyd will undoubtedly be remembered for years to come. It's a battle for legacy, respect, and control over the future of two of the most dominant figures in boxing. The stakes are higher than ever, and the world is watching.